This story is titled, My Rich Uncle Found Out I Was Living in My Car While Working 2 Jobs to Pay for College and My Cousins Were Making Fun of Me to Everyone. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support truly means the world to us. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's get into the video. Okay, Reddit, this is going to be a long one. I'm a 19-year-old female, and I need to write this down because, honestly, my head has been spinning with everything that's happened. I never thought I'd be sharing my life story here, but here goes. It all started when my dad was diagnosed with cancer. I was 14, just starting high school, thinking my biggest problem would be algebra or something. He had been feeling tired for a while, but we thought it was just work stress. Then, one regular Tuesday after school, my mom sat me down in the kitchen and told me he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The next 6 months felt like watching someone else's life play out. He got very sick, very fast. He lost all his hair and so much weight. His favorite Chicago Bears jersey hung on him like a tent. He still tried to joke around, still helped me with my math homework even when he could barely sit up. The last thing he said to me when they took him to the hospital for the final time was, "Don't let your mom's cooking kill you before I get back." That was just so him, always trying to make me laugh. He died on a Thursday. I remember because it was supposed to be pizza night. We always got deep dish on Thursdays. It had been our thing since I was little. Instead, I was sitting in a hospital waiting room under flickering fluorescent lights, watching my mom cry into her phone while calling relatives. I thought that would be the worst moment of my life. I was wrong. After he died, my mom completely fell apart. She started dating just 2 months later, saying she needed to feel alive again or something like that. That's how she met Derek, a rich real estate developer type. He started coming around all the time, bringing her expensive gifts and taking her on weekend trips. I tried to be happy for her, I really did. My dad wouldn't have wanted her to stay miserable forever, right? But then she married Derek less than a year after my dad died. She didn't even tell me they were engaged. I found out when she handed me a junior bridesmaid dress she had already bought and told me to try it on. The wedding was at a fancy country club in Newport Beach. All of Derek's wealthy friends were there, looking at us like we were some charity case he had taken in. I spent most of the reception hiding in the bathroom, trying not to cry. That's when everything really changed. My mom and Derek moved into his massive house in Newport Beach, the kind with a pool and a tennis court. But somehow, there wasn't room for me. She said I'd be more comfortable living with my dad's sister, Aunt Lisa, in Chicago. More comfortable for who? So I was sent off to Chicago like a package no one wanted. Aunt Lisa lives in a big house in Lincoln Park with Uncle Marcus and my cousins Michael, 17, and Rebecca, 18. We used to be really close as kids. They'd visit every summer and we'd spend weeks making up silly games and building blanket forts. But everything was different once I moved in. I wasn't the fun summer cousin anymore. I was an extra person in their house. They acted like I was taking up space, eating their food, breathing their air. Michael would accidentally knock over my things all the time. Rebecca made comments about how her clothes were too nice to lend me when I first arrived without proper winter clothes. But Aunt Lisa was the worst. She made it very clear I was a burden. She even started charging me rent while I was still in high school. Who does that? The most messed up part was that my mom just stopped calling completely. She would send money sometimes, but never enough to actually cover the rent Aunt Lisa was charging. But that was it. Whenever I tried calling her, she was always too busy with her new life, too busy with yoga, too busy with charity events, too busy to talk to her own kid. I'd see photos on Facebook of her and Derek vacationing in Europe, attending fancy parties, living this completely different life where I didn't exist. She even archived all our old family pictures, the ones with my dad and me, saying they didn't fit her new profile aesthetic, like I was just some piece of old furniture that didn't match her new decor. I started having dreams where I was back in our old kitchen, where everything felt normal. Then I'd wake up crying in that unfamiliar bedroom at Aunt Lisa's house, staring at wallpaper that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe, feeling like I had lost both parents instead of just one. After my first month at Aunt Lisa's, she hit me with a rent increase because of property taxes or whatever. I was like, I'm 15, but okay, I guess I need a job. That's when my cousin Rebecca so helpfully told me about a 24-hour laundromat hiring in what she called the sketchy part of Chicago. It was this run-down building squeezed between a closed-down dollar store and a really suspicious phone repair shop that I'm pretty sure never actually fixed any phones. The owner, this old guy named Jerry, took one look at me and said, "You're way too young to work the midnight shift." But then I told him I could start that very night and wouldn't complain about the pay. Suddenly my age wasn't such a big issue anymore. So my life turned into this exhausting schedule that still gives me anxiety just thinking about it. Midnight to 6 I am at the laundromat, dealing with the strangest people you could imagine. The worst part wasn't even the customers, it was the cold. The heating barely worked, and Chicago winters are brutal. I'd wear 3 hoodies just to get through my shift. Funny how that wasn't mentioned in the job description. But one job wasn't enough to cover Aunt Lisa's rent, along with basic things like food and school supplies. So I also started working at a gas station from 40 to 10:10 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's where my cousins decided to make my life even harder. The gas station was right near their expensive private school, where tuition probably cost more than I made in a year. Michael and his friends thought it was hilarious to come in during my shifts and trash the place. They'd knock over the chip displays I had just organized, spill their slushies by accident all over the floor, and leave open bags of beef jerky lying around. Rebecca was worse. She was more subtle about it. She'd come in with her cheerleader friends and talk loudly about me like I wasn't even there. "Oh my God, can you imagine having to work here? I'd literally die." Or, "Ew, look at her uniform. It's so polyester." Then they'd take horrible pictures of me cleaning up their mess and post them on social media. School got bad too. I was going to the local public high school, and somehow Rebecca made sure everyone knew about my jobs. People started leaving quarters on my desk for laundry. Someone even stuck a name tag on my locker that said, "Washer Girl." Real creative. I was basically sleeping through all my classes. How could I stay awake when I was working from midnight to 6 a.m., then going to school from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. to p.m., and then working again from 4 p.m. to 10 a.m. to p.m.? My grades started dropping. Teachers kept asking if everything was okay at home, and I just told them I was still adjusting to the move. The only good part of the laundromat job was this homeless guy named Pete who came in most nights. He wasn't like the other strange customers. He showed me how to fix the coin machine when it jammed and told me which customers were okay to let slide if they were a quarter short. One night, he said to me, "Kid, you're living life on expert mode right now." It made me laugh for the first time in weeks. He disappeared when winter got really bad. I still wonder what happened to him sometimes. Uncle Marcus owned the building, but I never saw him there. He had a property management company handle everything. Sometimes I'd notice these fancy cars slowly driving by late at night. Later I found out he would send people to check on the place. I guess he was watching me more than I realized. Meanwhile, my mom was sending random texts like, "Hope you're doing well," but never actually answering when I called. Her Instagram was full of pictures from Derek's yacht parties and charity galas. Must be nice having so much time for charity when your own kid is working 2 jobs just to survive. Aunt Lisa kept coming up with reasons to raise the rent. Utilities went up. HOA fees increased. Your room is prime real estate. Yeah, I'm sure that converted basement storage room with weird mushrooms growing in the corner was prime Chicago real estate. I started hiding cash inside an old teddy bear my dad gave me before he died. I had this whole plan once I saved enough, I'd get my own place. But every time I got close, something would come up. School fees. Winter boots when my old ones fell apart. That time Michael accidentally backed his car into mine, and I had to pay for the repairs myself. But the final straw came one day when I got home from my gas station shift and found my room completely trashed. The teddy bear was ripped open, stuffing everywhere, and of course all my savings were gone. Rebecca claimed she was just cleaning and had no idea about any money. Yeah, right. That same week, Aunt Lisa came down to my basement room and told me the rent was going up again, not just a little double. She said something about property values increasing in the area. I did the math and realized that even with both jobs, I couldn't afford it anymore. But here's the thing, I had been taking classes at a nearby community college. Nothing fancy, just basic courses, trying to get ahead while still in high school. The counselor there told me I might qualify for financial aid if I took more classes. That meant I had to make a choice: keep paying Aunt Lisa's insane rent, or try to get an education. So I chose education. I didn't really have a plan, I just knew I couldn't stay there anymore. I packed everything that could fit into my Toyota. The car had rust spots all over it, and the heat only worked if you kicked the dashboard in exactly the right spot, but it was mine. The first night sleeping in the car was actually kind of peaceful. I parked behind the laundromat, used my work keys to sneak in and use the bathroom. I had a whole setup, reclined the driver's seat all the way back, used my backpack as a pillow, layered 5 blankets I'd borrowed from the lost and found. I remember thinking, this isn't so bad. Then winter hit. Real Chicago winter, the kind where your spit freezes before it even hits the ground. My car battery started dying because of the cold, so I couldn't run the heat much. The hardest part wasn't even the cold or the lack of sleep. It was trying to look normal at school. Try explaining to your chemistry teacher why your homework is wrinkled and smells like laundry detergent, or why you're wearing the same 3 outfits over and over. The school counselor kept trying to talk to me, but what was I supposed to say? Oh yeah, I live in my car, but don't worry, it's parked in a really nice alley. Then my dear cousin Michael decided to play detective. I guess he got suspicious about why I wasn't around the house anymore. One night, he followed me after my laundromat shift. The next day, their TikTok had an entire video series called My Homeless Cousin, a documentary. They filmed everything: my frost-covered windows, me trying to study using the light from the laundromat sign. They even caught me changing clothes in the back seat once. The videos went viral in their rich kid circle. People started driving by the laundromat at night, honking, throwing things at my car. The cops started showing up more often too. Every couple of nights there'd be a knock on my window. "You can't sleep here, miss." So I'd drive around until they left, then come back. I spent so many nights just driving in circles, watching my gas gauge drop lower and lower, hoping I'd have enough to get to work the next day. But here's the weird part: I started noticing a black SUV parked across the street some nights. Always in a different spot, but always there. Tinted windows, engine running. At first, I thought it was the cops or maybe some creep, but they never bothered me. They just sat there like they were watching. One night, the temperature dropped to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, the kind of cold that makes your eyes hurt. My car wouldn't start, my phone was dead, and the laundromat was closed for repairs. I remember thinking, this is it. This is how I die. They're going to find me frozen like those rats in the alley. I wrapped myself in every piece of clothing I owned and tried to think warm thoughts. Then someone knocked on my window. I looked up, and there was Uncle Marcus, standing in the snow like it was completely normal to be outside at 2 a.m. in Arctic temperatures. He just said, "I think we need to talk." Turns out the black SUV that was his. He'd been watching me through the laundromat security cameras for weeks, sending people to check on me. He said he wanted to see what I was made of. Who even does something like that? But honestly, at that point, I was too cold to care about his strange methods. So there I was, basically freezing in my car, while Uncle Marcus stood outside in his expensive wool coat looking at me through the window. I thought he was going to lecture me or call the cops or something. Instead, he said, "My office has better heating." Like this was a completely normal situation. His office was a small room above the laundromat I had never seen before. Turns out he had a whole private space up there: desk, mini fridge, coffee maker, even a small bathroom. While I sat there warming my hands around a cup of actually good coffee, he just watched me like he was trying to figure something out. Finally he said, "You know, your dad and I used to sleep in a car too." I almost dropped my coffee. I had always known Uncle Marcus as this super rich real estate guy who wore suits that probably cost more than my car. But then he started telling me a story I had never heard before. Apparently, he and my dad grew up extremely poor. Like their mom worked 3 jobs and they still couldn't afford rent most months. He pulled out his phone and showed me this old photo of 2 skinny teenagers sitting in a van, eating beans straight from a can. "That's your dad on the left," he said. And yeah, it was the same goofy smile I remembered, just on a much younger face. As he told me all this, I sat there trying to process it. How did they go from that to this? That's when he told me about the laundromat. The original owner used to let them stay inside on really cold nights. They'd help fix machines, clean up, whatever needed to be done. When the owner got sick, he offered to sell them the place. My dad had just started college on a scholarship, but Uncle Marcus had been working construction and saving every dollar he could. So the owner sold it to him for almost nothing. That became his first property. Then he started pulling out old documents from his desk, property deeds, contracts, business plans, all with my dad's notes written in the margins. When your dad got sick, Uncle Marcus said, he made me promise two things. First, to look out for you. Second, to make sure you learned how to look out for yourself. Then he looked at me and said, I've got to say, you're doing better at the second part than I expected. I was sitting there trying not to cry and failing pretty badly when he dropped the real surprise. Turns out he owns half the block around the laundromat, now apartment buildings, stores, even that sketchy phone repair place. And he'd been watching me this whole time through the security cameras, sending people in that SUV to keep an eye on me. You worked 2 jobs without complaining. Kept your grades up. Found ways to survive that most people wouldn't even think of. You even kept that laundromat running better than the manager I hired. He actually smiled when he said that last part. Jerry told me you fixed the quarter machine. Took my maintenance guy 3 tries to figure that out. Then he pulled out a key and said it was for the apartment above his office, a studio apartment I didn't even know existed. He told me it was mine. No rent, as long as I kept working at the laundromat and kept my grades up. I tried to say no. It felt too much like charity or something, but he shut that down immediately. This isn't charity. This is an investment. You've got your father's brains and your own kind of determination. I'm investing in that. Then he showed me this whole file. He had copies of my school records, work reports from Jerry, even screenshots of those awful TikToks Michael and Rebecca made. They thought they were shaming you, he said. All I saw was someone who refused to break. It's strange, you know. All this time I thought he was this cold, rich guy who didn't care, who let his wife treat me like garbage. Turns out, he was testing me. A messed up way to do it, yeah, but I kind of understand now. He wanted to see if I had what my dad had. That thing that keeps you going when everything is against you. Before I left his office that night, he told me something else about my dad. He said that during their last conversation at the hospital, my dad made him promise not to just hand me everything. He wanted me to learn how to be strong on my own first. But Uncle Marcus added that my dad also told him to know when enough was enough. And kid, he said, you've more than proved yourself. That night, I slept in a real bed for the first time in months. The apartment wasn't fancy, just one room with a kitchenette and a bathroom, but it was warm, clean, and safe. The next morning, I woke up to my phone blowing up with texts from Aunt Lisa. Apparently, Michael had driven past the laundromat on his way to school and saw me coming down from the upstairs apartment. He took pictures, of course. Aunt Lisa showed up at the laundromat during my shift, dressed in her designer workout clothes and looking like she was about to explode. She started screaming about how I was trying to steal her husband, accusing me of seducing him or whatever. Like, yeah, Aunt Lisa, I totally seduced him by being homeless and fixing washing machines. Super believable. The customers were all staring. One older woman who comes in every Wednesday to wash her cat's blankets even started recording everything on her phone. Aunt Lisa kept going on, saying she always knew I was trouble, that I was just like my mother, trying to take advantage of rich men. I was just standing there holding a mop, wearing my gross work uniform, thinking, is this actually happening? Then Jerry came out from the back and told her she needed to leave before he called the cops. She finally left, but not before saying this wasn't over. That night, I heard Aunt Lisa and Uncle Marcus arguing upstairs in his office. Their voices were muffled, but I could still make out her yelling about that girl and how dare you. I felt so ashamed, like I had somehow ruined their marriage. I found out later that Aunt Lisa stayed at a friend's house that night. When I saw Uncle Marcus the next morning, he had dark circles under his eyes and just gave me a tired nod, but then something even weirder happened. My mom suddenly started calling me again for the first time in months, acting concerned. Honey, I'm hearing some disturbing things. Like she had any right to be concerned after abandoning me. I'm pretty sure someone, probably Rebecca, filled her in on the rumors. Then she and Derek showed up at my apartment unannounced. My mom was wearing one of her designer outfits, her eyes scanning my tiny studio. Oh, honey, she said, though it sounded more calculating than concerned. This is quaint. Derek stayed near the door like he was afraid poverty might be contagious. What are you doing here? I asked, not offering them a place to sit. There wasn't anywhere to sit anyway unless they wanted to join me on my unmade bed. My mom started pacing around the small space. We've been hearing things about you and your Uncle Marcus. The way she said it made something twist in my stomach. What about Uncle Marcus? Come on, sweetie. She tried to smile like we were sharing some kind of secret. I know what you're doing. It's clever, really. I never would have thought of it at your age. Thought of what? Getting close to Marcus like this. Working in his business, playing the poor abandoned niece. I'm sure he's promised you quite a bit. The realization hit me hard. You think I'm trying to get his money? Well, aren't you living here, working at that laundromat, spending all this time with him? It's obvious what you're doing. I laughed, but it came out sharp. Obvious to who? You. The one who sent me to Chicago and forgot about me? That's not fair. No, you know what's not fair. You disappeared when Dad died. You married Derek, what, 10 months later? You sent me to Aunt Lisa's like I was some old piece of furniture that didn't match your new decor. I was grieving, she says, but she's looking at her expensive watch, not at me. You were upgrading, I snapped back. Trading up for a fancier life with your real estate husband and your charity galas. And now what? You're worried I might get some of Uncle Marcus's money before you do? That's when Derek steps forward, all fake authority. Now listen here, young lady. Your mother and I are concerned about your welfare. My welfare? I laugh again, harsher this time. Where was that concern when Aunt Lisa was charging me rent at 15? When I was working 2 jobs and sleeping in my car? Mom waves her hand dismissively. Don't be dramatic. Lisa would never check my hospital records from when I got bronchitis sleeping in that car. Check the pay stubs from the gas station and the laundromat. Check the rent receipts Lisa made me keep. Oh wait, you can't. You were too busy posting pictures from your yacht parties to even answer my calls. That's ancient history, Mom says, fidgeting with her wedding ring, Dad's ring that she had upgraded with bigger diamonds. We're here to help now. Derek has a friend who runs a wonderful boarding school in Switzerland. Now you want to help? My voice rises. Or did you just find out Uncle Marcus is teaching me the business? Worried I might actually learn something? Get a piece of what you think should be yours? Her face changes, then harder, colder. The concerned mother act disappears. Marcus was your father's brother. Anything of his should go to me. His wife, ex-wife, I cut in, who remarried less than a year after he died. I deserve, she starts, but I cut her off again. You deserve? Dad helped build this business. He and Uncle Marcus started with nothing. While you're busy planning charity galas with Derek, I'm learning how to fix washing machines, manage books, and actually help people just like Dad did. Your father was a teacher, she snaps. He played around with Marcus's business like it was some hobby. Get out. I point to the door. Go back to your perfect life with your perfect husband. Go plan another charity gala. Go archive more family photos because they don't match your aesthetic. Just get out of my apartment. Derek tries one more time. Now see here. No, you see here, I'm surprised at how steady my voice sounds now. I know exactly why you're here. You heard I was working with Uncle Marcus and got scared. Scared I might actually earn something you think belongs to you. But here's the thing. I'm not you. I'm not here for anyone's money. I'm here because Uncle Marcus gave me a chance when you threw me away. Mom's face turns red. How dare you? How dare I? How dare you come here pretending to care about my welfare when all you care about is your bank account? I walk to the door and open it. By the way, Mom, that pantsuit makes you look desperate. They leave Mom muttering about ingratitude, Derek already on his phone. I close the door and slide down against it, shaking. Through the thin walls, I hear Mom's voice. I told you this would happen. That little gold digger is going to try to take everything. After the whole scene with Mom and Derek showing up, things got strangely quiet for about a week. Then one night at work, Michael came running into the laundromat. He looked scared. Turns out he'd been using Aunt Lisa's iPad, and a message popped up from someone saved as D that said, "Everything's ready for next week. Lisa, baby, we're finally going to be free." Michael, being as nosy as he is, opened the messages. Apparently, Aunt Lisa had never logged out of her accounts on that iPad. The D was Derek, my stepdad Derek, my mom's husband Derek. They'd been texting for months. Michael found emails, 2 plans to take a large amount of money from Uncle Marcus's business and run away together. They'd been planning it for almost a year. Every time Aunt Lisa raised my rent, that money was going straight into some secret account. Michael came to me because he didn't know what to do. For the first time in his life, the same kid who used to mock me for being poor was realizing his own mom was about to steal everything and leave him behind. I called Uncle Marcus. Not going to lie, part of me wanted to just let everything fall apart. After everything they put me through, it would have felt like karma. Uncle Marcus came down to the laundromat immediately. Michael was still shaking as he showed him all the messages. I had never seen Uncle Marcus look so blank, like his face had completely shut down. He made a few calls. It turned out his lawyer had already been suspicious about some of the business accounts for a while. The numbers didn't add up, but Aunt Lisa handled all the paperwork. Uncle Marcus trusted her with everything, so no one had looked too closely. The lawyer went through every account, every transaction. Do you know how much they were planning to steal? $4.3 million. They had already moved almost $1 million into offshore accounts. All those times Aunt Lisa complained about property taxes and utility bills, she was stealing that money too. But the worst part? Some of that money came from Michael and Rebecca's college funds. Their own mother was stealing their future to run away with my stepdad. Uncle Marcus brought in a whole team of lawyers and accountants. They uncovered fake companies Aunt Lisa had created. She would write checks to these companies for maintenance or supplies, but the money would just go into more hidden accounts. And while all of this was happening, Aunt Lisa acted completely normal. She kept posting workout selfies on Instagram, running PTA meetings, pretending to be the perfect rich mom. Derek was the same, taking my mom to charity events, buying her expensive gifts, playing the role of the devoted husband. The lawyers said we needed to wait, gather more evidence before confronting them. But Rebecca found everything on the iPad too. One night she showed up at my apartment with mascara smeared all over her face, asking if she could stay with me. For the first time in her life she didn't have a perfect place to sleep. It was strange having her there. The same girl who used to mock me for being homeless was now basically homeless herself. She slept on my tiny futon, used my cheap shampoo, wore my Target clothes, and kept apologizing for how she had treated me. But honestly, watching her realize that money doesn't make you a good person was enough. Uncle Marcus had his IT team tracking the accounts, monitoring every transaction. The plan was to catch them right before they tried to run. But Aunt Lisa must have sensed something was wrong, because she started moving money faster. The next morning was Michael's 18th birthday party. Aunt Lisa had planned this huge event at their house: DJ, catering, even a mini golf setup in the backyard. She was acting extra nice to everyone, probably because she thought it was her last weekend there. Uncle Marcus decided that would be the moment to confront them. All the evidence would be ready, and everyone would be in one place. I remember Rebecca asking if we should warn my mom first, but Uncle Marcus said no. We needed to see her genuine reaction to know if she was involved. The morning of the party felt strange. Really strange. Aunt Lisa was running around setting up decorations and checking on the catering while literally planning to disappear with my stepdad the next day. Rebecca and I helped set up, both of us knowing everything was about to explode, trying to act normal. Michael looked like he was going to throw up every time his mom hugged him. Uncle Marcus had everything planned. His lawyer would arrive unexpectedly during the party with urgent paperwork. Then everyone would be gathered in the living room, and the evidence would be revealed. The FBI was actually waiting nearby. Yes, real FBI agents, because stealing millions from a business and planning to flee the country is kind of their jurisdiction. My mom arrived early, excited about the party. She hadn't spoken to me since the whole Switzerland boarding school thing, but she acted like everything was fine. Derek came in behind her carrying a huge wrapped present. I later found out it was some expensive gaming system. I guess he was trying to buy Michael's silence. The party started at 2 p.m. All these rich kids from Michael's school showed up in BMWs and Mercedes their parents had bought them. The DJ played music, people swam in the pool. Everything looked completely normal, except for Rebecca, Michael, and me. We just watched Aunt Lisa and Derek, who kept checking their phones and whispering to each other. Around 4 p.m., the lawyer arrived, holding a thick folder and looking very serious. The look on Aunt Lisa's face when she saw him. I wish I had taken a picture. She knew. They gathered everyone in the living room. Some of Michael's friends tried to stay, but Uncle Marcus told them, family only, in a tone that made them leave immediately. My mom started complaining about the interruption, but then the lawyer began laying out documents on the coffee table: bank statements, emails, transfer records, even photos of Aunt Lisa and Derek together taken by a private investigator. With each document, the room grew quieter. Then he played a recording. It was Aunt Lisa and Derek talking about their plan, laughing about how stupid everyone was for not noticing. My mom stopped breathing the moment she heard Derek's voice. She just froze. Aunt Lisa tried to claim the recording was fake, but then Uncle Marcus pulled out her iPad, the same one Michael found the messages on, and started reading their texts out loud. What happened next was pure chaos. My mom lunged at Derek, hitting him with her purse, which had a bunch of heavy metal stuff in it. Aunt Lisa tried to run for the door, but the FBI agents were already there. One of them, a woman, calmly said, "Lisa Anderson, you're under arrest for wire fraud and embezzlement." They took both of them away in handcuffs. Derek kept shouting that he had an explanation. Aunt Lisa was crying about how we had ruined her life, but the worst part? Neither of them even looked at their kids. Their son's 18th birthday had just turned into a crime scene, and they couldn't even say sorry. My mom had a complete breakdown, full-on hysterics. It turned out Derek had been using her money too. She had signed a bunch of documents without reading them because she trusted him, she said. And he had basically taken everything she had left from my dad's life insurance. The next few weeks were insane. The FBI investigation uncovered even more. Aunt Lisa and Derek had been planning this for over a year. They had fake passports, offshore accounts, and entire secret life ready. They had stolen from almost everyone, the business, the kids' college funds, even charity money from those events they were always attending. During all of this, Uncle Marcus was watching how everyone handled it. Rebecca and Michael ended up basically moving into my tiny apartment. We worked out a system. Michael slept on the futon, Rebecca shared my bed, and we all shared one bathroom, which was interesting. They both started working at the laundromat. Rebecca turned out to be really good with customers when she wasn't being rude, and Michael had this natural talent for fixing machines. He even figured out an issue with one of the industrial dryers that the repair guy couldn't solve. My mom went to rehab not for drugs, just to deal with everything. She had been so focused on maintaining this perfect, wealthy image that she ignored all the warning signs about Derek. Uncle Marcus really stepped up. He started teaching all of us about the business. He said he wants me, Rebecca, and Michael to run it together someday. We each bring something different. I'm good with numbers like my dad. Rebecca is great with people when she tries, and Michael has this almost genius-level ability with machines. Last week, we all visited my dad's grave together. It was the first time. Uncle Marcus told us more stories about him, how he helped build the business while still working as a teacher, because he believed in helping people. Aunt Lisa and Derek are in jail now. Turns out stealing millions and planning to run away isn't exactly legal. They're both trying to blame each other, which would be funny if it weren't so sad. Michael and Rebecca are still struggling with everything. I mean, imagine finding out your own mom cared more about running away with someone else's husband than about you. But the strange part is, we're actually better now. All of us. My mom is finally dealing with her issues instead of hiding behind designer sunglasses. Rebecca and Michael have learned what it means to actually work for something. And I've learned that sometimes accepting help isn't a weakness. Sometimes I look at my life now and can't believe how much it's changed in just a year. I'm sitting here in the laundromat office, my office now, managing the place, and it hits me. Even though I lost my family, I'm doing so much better now. I found out my aunt and stepdad were secretly involved in planning to steal millions and run away. They were arrested at a birthday party. My mom had a breakdown and went to rehab. My cousins learned humility through working at the laundromat, and somehow, we all became a real family. Also, my dad was basically playing 4D chess from beyond the grave.